On this episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast, we're talking about a crazy finish on the PGA Tour. We're talking about a major in the women's game at the Women's PGA Championship, and we have the McCauley Sisters back on to talk about their season and what lies ahead this summer for some competition. That and a whole lot more on this episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast. Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald, Second Swing Golf, here in the studio with Sean Bauer, co-host of the podcasts. Back this week, we've got another exciting episode here, both in terms of just the golf in the pro golf landscape, very exciting weekend, and then we also have the McCauley Sisters back to talk about kind of what the season looked like for them, and then what's also coming in the summer as well for competition's sake, and how they, how their summers may be a little different now than they were previously back in the day. So we've got that. This is going to be a big one, I think.
Yeah, really good stuff from Bella and Reese. Kind of giving you that inside look at how, a Division I golfer approaches their off season, right? Mm-hmm. The college golf season's interesting where you have a fall season, a spring season, and you kind of have two in between seasons. And obviously it differs what you do during the winter versus what you're doing during the summer. So I think you're really going to enjoy that and kind of get an inside look at how they approach, the game from that standpoint. But first, let's get into the turn because we had ourselves quite a finish on the PGA Tour. One of the crazier finishes I can think of when you consider just the momentum swing that happened there on the 72nd hole. Of course, Keegan Bradley makes birdie, trailing by a stroke. Tommy Fleetwood misses a short par putt that was, just outside of Keegan's. So Keegan goes from potentially losing the tournament to maybe just getting into a playoff to winning it all within 5 minutes of each other. So a pretty crazy tournament.
Yeah.
Huge win for Keegan. He's been playing some great golf and maybe setting himself up for a spot as a playing Ryder Cup captain.
Now, and he has said over and over that he will not make himself a captain's pick. It's really looking like that is the best scenario for Team USA is for Keegan to be a captain's pick. As at this point, I think he was ninth in the standings. It still would take something somewhat crazy for him to get into the top six. But I think it goes without saying. It's almost certain right now that he's a top 12 American player in the game right now. So I think any American golf fan is rooting for him to be on the team right now, whether that's as an automatic qualifier or as a captain's pick. But I hope he kind of does some due diligence on it and makes the call. I hope to be on the team. So it was great to see him win. Obviously, the Fleetwood story is unfortunate, and that's now 42 top 10s on the PGA Tour without a PGA Tour win. He has won, elsewhere internationally on the DP World Tour, but does not have the PGA Tour win despite so many close calls over the years. And it really looked like this is kind of the one, like, if it doesn't happen this week, is it ever going to happen? I mean, he had a 3-shot lead, I believe, there on the back nine at one point, and he kind of gave it to Keegan there too. I mehave obviously Keegan made that long birdie putt, I believe, on 14 or 15, and then made the birdie on 18. So he kind of took some of it back as well, but Fleetwood shouldn't have been in that position either.
Yeah, felt bad for Tommy. He's I will give him give him his props though. He met with the media after, he owned it. He was open about it. Obviously very frustrated. You could see that because he knows he let that one slip away. 2 poor shots, and then on that par putt, it looks like it hit something that.
Yeah.
Now if it doesn't hit that, does it go in and we're at a playoff? Who knows? But ultimately, he'll kind of be regretting that second shot and then his third, not getting that up there close.
Right. I also do want to give a shout out to Russell Henley as well. Did he finish one back? Is that what it was?
Yeah, and he
finished one back, and he called himself for a penalty. It was the day before, or maybe 2 days before, where I don't know the whole story for sure, but what I saw was that he basically saw the ball move like a dimple, and there was no video evidence or anything, and the officials said, I don't know for sure if this moved. They couldn't tell, and Russell just basically said, I saw it move. I'm certain it moved. So he called the penalty on himself, and ultimately it cost him quite a bit and at the end of the day. But kudos to him is kind of that's the whole integrity of the game piece, right, that we talk about. So I wanted to give Russell Henley a shout out for a great week, and then for that as well.
Yeah. So kudos to him. There's a heck of a chip in he had there on the 18th hole. Fleetwood, he's got to get one soon. He's sometimes the golf gods maybe work in your favor. A guy who owns the moment, owns up to it, speaks about it after. Hopefully that gives him some good, juju moving forward. But as to Keegan as the playing team captain, like you said, he's definitely one of the 12 best.
Yeah.
And I know he said that he would only play on it if he auto-qualified. But if you're one of those U.S. players that's on there, don't you, and you feel like, hey, he gives us the best chance at winning, do you think they have to go and tell him, like, I know you said that, but you're 9th in the standings right now. Let's say you finished, right around there. You're, 7th or 8th place. Like, you were pretty dang close to auto-qualifying. You're one of the best players. And then you look at the way he played that 18th hole on Sunday, that is like the pure Ryder Cup right there. You just put in the pressure on your opponent at all times. You find the fairway, you stick it close. Now all of a sudden, Fleetwood, if Keegan has 20 feet for birdie, that's not as much pressure on Fleetwood to get up and down for par, because he's probably thinking, well, he's still got to make a 20-foot putt. I'm all right. But Keegan's in there close. Now Fleetwood's like, I have to get this close just to get to a playoff. And obviously, and talk about a guy that reacts to the crowd and plays with the crowd. I mean, obviously that was in kind of his hometown area. So he's a fan favorite up there, but he to me, unless he just falls apart the rest of the season, I think he has to be on it.
He should be.
Because I think it gives the U.S. the best chance to win. It creates a bigger rooting interest for USA. Obviously, I don't think it's not like he's going to go out there and play every session. He's probably going to, play a couple sessions and then focus on his other duties outside of that.
He has to be on the team. And I think his style of play also meshes really well, too, with other players, where he's not a bomber off the tee, but he hits a lot of fairways. He's more accuracy-oriented, where some of these guys are so focused on hitting it kind of far and overpowering the golf course. So, we'll see what happens. And if he gets another win, he's probably going to climb up there anyway. But he's certainly, to me at this point, as of middle of June or whatever we're at now, late June, he is for sure a top 12 American player and should be on the team.
I mean, all he has to do is just go win the Open, and he's not a qualifier. Right. So
easy.
But so that was a great tournament. I just want to give a shout out. They need to have more tournaments up in just the northern part of the country, but the Northeast. That course, TPC River Highlands, is just, it's such a cool looking course. There's
always
a lot of risk reward. Too. You have all the water in play. Really cool course. And I remember when they played, what used to be the Wells Fargo, the name of it now, that they played at the Philly Cricket Club. Remember a lot of guys, the Truist. I remember a lot of guys kind of commenting that during then is like, we need to have more tournaments up in this area of the country.
Yeah.
They're different than what the PGA Tour sees down in Florida and Texas and California.
Yeah.
So just a big shout out there. I really enjoyed watching that tournament. I enjoyed that course. Let's do a quick look at Keegan's what's in the bag before we move on here. He's going Ping G430 LST with the driver. Then he goes TaylorMade QI10. He's playing an HL 3-wood, so 16.5 degrees. And then actually, I believe it was new this week, or recently new, but it's TaylorMade QI35 7-wood. He had been playing a 5-wood previously. Both playing that Aldillo Rogue White shaft in there. And then his irons, you want to talk about the hottest brand in golf right now? Strixon with another win. That's 3 straight wins. But he goes back a generation, playing the Mark IIs combo, the ZX5, ZX7s. Then he plays one Z-forged pitching wedge.
Yeah.
And then goes Cleveland RTZ Tour Rack wedges, and then plays the AI1 Cruiser Jailbird. Obviously, he had played the Versa Jailbird previously, just moved into the newer version of it. So really cool bag, too.
And one note on the wedges, of course, we have some content on those. We got to talk to Rob Waters. He's one of the kind of the reps on, with the Cleveland Strixon Tour team, who works pretty directly with Keegan on all things equipment, and we talked to him about the exact wedge setup that Keegan likes, and we got to film those wedges being made. And at the time, they were for Augusta, so a slightly different build, but nonetheless, he kind of plays a unique loft configuration there, 52, 55, and 58 in his wedges, which is definitely, you don't see 3-degree increments very often with wedges out there. So something that just wanted to take a note there. You can find that, on our YouTube channel as well.
Yeah, I think I saw out there Cleveland Strixon, especially on the Strixon side, because they're more the irons. I think they have either 8 or 9 PGA Tour wins, including majors this year.
Yeah. I mean,
and then that doesn't even count the guys who might have because if you put Scheffler in there for playing some Z85s, or you got, some guys just play Cleveland wedges, so really, really good year for them. Obviously, they've got a lot of Fitters' Choice winners in there from our side. So really big time year for Cleveland Strixon. And then wrapping up the turn here, we're going to the LPGA side. The KPMG Women's PGA Championship was played down in Frisco, Texas, down right next to the PGA America headquarters. And Minjee Lee captured her 3rd career major.
Yeah.
She now has 3 of the 5 legs of the LPGA because they have 5 majors. Now, the LPGA recognizes if you win 4 of them, they recognize that as a Grand Slam. But I think I saw Lydia Ko say, well, the real slam is all 5. But
Right.
Three majors for Minjee. And obviously, Min Woo's her brother. Both really good players, but I think Minjee, Min Woo is very popular on social media and whatnot, but Minjee kind of lets her game do the talking. She's a really, really good player.
Well, I think in the women's game, you see the peaks of players so much earlier in their careers. And so for her to get a 3rd one is obviously that's a pretty strong accomplishment. I know there was some chatter this week as far as this event in the how tough the course played. And I kind of agree with that. And I know we just talked about the U.S. Open being super tough, and we would love to watching it and stuff. But I will say there was a pretty clear couple of players that managed the conditions, the wind, everything the best. And, they were on top of the leaderboard, and obviously Minjee Lee won it. And so in that sense, you have to credit the PGA for the setup and the fact that the best player for that week was the far and away the best scorer of the week. And so, it might have been tough and it might have been frustrating, but I think it's also just like we say for the men, that it's nice to see them struggle and put up, 73s and 74s as good scores. It's nice to see that on the women's side as well, where, battling tough conditions, firm, with a lot of wind out there at that course. It was good to see it, I think. Good mix-up.
Yeah, and the big thing for, Minjee, she had, was it last year's U.S. Open? That was up in Indiana, I believe, and she kind of was tied for the lead going to the final round and kind of fell apart. And then had really been struggling with her putter. She had kind of played a traditional putter for most of her career. It was either last year or 2 years ago, but either way, she had made a switch into a long putter. And then this year, she is, I think, she's in the top 10 in strokes gained putting on the LPGA Tour, and I believe she led the field at the PGA Championship this past weekend, and that just goes to, show you, when you're willing to try different stuff.
Yeah, it can totally turn your game around.
Turn your game around. We've had plenty of fitters on here talk about just, the improvements they've seen guys playing, whether they're going to, the sweeper or just those longer counterbalance putters and the stability it provides. So kind of speaks to just the importance of, making sure you're finding that right fit for you. But, that wraps up the turn, and we'll get right into keeping it with women's golf here. We're going to go right in with the McCauley Sisters here, Drew.
Yeah, we got both Bella and Reese. It's kind of good to get an update from them as, of course, elite players in their own right. What their quote-unquote off-season looks like, when it's funny that, a couple of their pretty significant tournaments or events that they would play in are also during the summer, so how they manage that, the practice time leading up to it, and if they take any time off. So interesting to hear that from, high-level Division I golfers here. Okay, we now welcome back to the Second Swing Thoughts podcast 2 special guests, Bella McCauley and Reese McCauley. First of all, it's always great to have both of you join us. We filmed some content earlier today. That was a lot of fun. And wanted to just talk about your golf season now that the season is done, at least in terms of the Gophers, your 3rd season, Reese's 1st season. I guess, Bella, just what was it like for you, now that you've been at this college golf thing for a while, but now to see your sister kind of go through it for a year, how do you think she handled it?
I thought you did so well.
How do you think
I thought you did really well. I think it's sometimes even a harder transition with just some of the non-golf aspects, with the school schedule and figuring out life on campus and just kind of all those adjustments. But I thought you did really well, and I think it'll definitely be easier heading into the sophomore year for sure.
Yeah, I know we were talking a little off air just about how it seemed like for you the first semester may have been a kind of a wake-up call in a sense, and then things got better throughout the year, and it was a lot smoother, I guess, maybe second semester, but kind of talk us through how, things are a lot different than high school in terms of
for sure.
the workload of school, but then balancing that out and a lot more travel.
For sure.
Can you summarize the whirlwind that it was as a freshman year player?
For sure. I think it was somewhat helpful though, actually, the way that we grew up is because we were homeschooled and we did online school and stuff. It actually wasn't terrible once I got to college because I already had my own schedule all the time, and it just had to be like super proactive in like getting my homework done when I had to do it or whatever. So it actually wasn't terrible. But yes, definitely like going to classes. My whole like fall semester was like all in-person classes, and then the spring semester was like mostly online, but a few in person. And so yeah, it was definitely a whole nother level of like just workload, because I was used to like that workload with school and then that workload like with golf and traveling, but then having those two together was definitely like another level for sure. Another level of busyness, but it was super fun though. It was really fun with the team, being able to be teammates with Bella.
And, we normally did that kind of travel in the summer for tournaments when school's obviously out, and so doing that like on top of
that
school
workload in the winter, but then having them together was
so now it's very different because now both of you have, I mean, it's summer now, and you're not, the junior tournaments are no longer on the schedule, so that probably opened, I know you've talked about this before, where there are times of the year where you just kind of don't even pick up a club. You know, you set aside some time to not do that. Are you going to be the same way now that you have kind of the summer a lot more open than it used to be for you?
Yeah, for sure. I took a little bit of time off right after the season, like maybe like a week and a half, and then got back into it. And so now, I don't know. I don't like to take like a ton of time off.
You're less of a time off kind of person.
Yeah, I like to have like consistent like a day off a week and like keep that consistency.
Oh, I see.
Where Bella can be like, oh, like whatever, like I don't need a day off or whatever, and then take more of a longer period off.
If I'm like an all or nothing person, where if I like need a break, like I'm not touching the clubs, it's going in the closet. I'm gonna take like a good 2 weeks off. So like right now I just finished Palmer Cup, and like now I'm taking some time off, and then but when I get back into it for prep, like for another tournament, like it'll be like at a 10. Like so, it's like all or nothing for me.
So you're not like during these times. We've talked a little bit in the past about the time that you both put into the game of golf. So when it's time to prep for, an event this summer, what kind of time is that going to be?
For me, we have really similar, but I would say I would like leading up to. So one of my next things is like the USAM qualifying, which is about a month out from now. And you're in that too. And so I think like normally like 4 to 8 hours a day, 6 days a week will be like the normal schedule. And if it's like the 7-8 hour days,
like 40 hours a weekish.
Normally if we're doing like the 7-8 hours days, that includes like a round of golf, so like that's like 4 hours of that. But definitely try to get some like practice out there too. Like if we're gonna be out there play a golf round, we'll try to do like another 3 hour like just practice session afterwards or before. So it definitely is like long days out there, but we love it, and like we're out able to like play with friends too, or we play together. So
we're out there with
that makes it super fun.
Too.
But
for sure.
they're definitely long days. Like leading up to Palmer Cup, like I was in grind mode. Like was at the course for a long periods of time.
So what is on the schedule for event? You said USAM qualifying. Is there anything else over the summer months that you guys are planning on competing in before the fall season?
I just have like actually next week I have the Minnesota women's match play. It's at Spring Hill, so I really love that course. It's probably like one of my favorites in Minnesota. So I'm really excited to play in that, and I love playing in match play too. I think it's
You're
super
good at
fun
match play.
format.
Yeah.
So I'm playing in that, and then we're both doing the USAM qualifier.
Okay.
And then depending on
how that goes,
we might do the state open.
Okay.
So.
Gotcha. Because those are, the state open, Minnesota match play, obviously USAM, those are big deals. So
that would be fun. Yeah, hopefully USAM works out, but obviously state open's a really good one as well. And
for sure.
And it's actually at
the Royal.
It's actually at the Royal this year, which for anyone who follows college golf, one of our first college events of the year in the fall is at the Royal for the Annika. So we were like, that would be a good way to kind of prep leading up to it. So but either way, like a good summer schedule, definitely not too busy, which is kind of like the way we like it, just because fall and spring are so packed on either end.
Right, your fall and spring, you're basically nonstop.
It's weird.
You don't really get time probably to yourselves. Yeah.
For
so with when does the fall season then kind of, do you guys have a prep time individually for yourselves before the season, or do you kind of all right, the season starts on this date, and now we kind of go full at it, or what?
Yeah,
So
like
the
we
way-
prep for like a few weeks ourselves, leading up to the season,
Okay.
and then it starts in like September.
Yeah, so
September.
so because of like the way like our school is, and like because our championship season's in the spring, like the earliest we can report back is literally like August 31st or like September 1st, like one or the like it's like literally like September 1st. So, and they can't really mandate us to be there earlier. So a lot of people come filtering back like those like our internationals and whoever, like maybe like a week prior, just to kind of get like time zone adjusted. But yeah, like it's like for us, you know, we're trying to like mentally prep for like fall season, because once we get back, we actually may have like a week of qualifying, maybe like the past couple of years we've had like a day of qualifying, and then we go to our tournament. So for us, it's like mentally like we're preparing for it, you know, weeks in advance before even the team comes, because then once they come, like it's go time. We don't really have a lot of time
You guys really
to
hit
like
the ground running, it sounds like, where
Yes.
it's like
For sure.
season starts, you know, officially on this date, and then you might have a big event,
go.
you know, a few days later.
Exactly. That's exactly how.
So
like,
we're prepping for a while before.
yes.
Okay.
So like last
Honestly,
year,
for
like
2 months.
like last year, I think we maybe had like one like practice day or like one round of qualifying before we left for our tournament. Like it's there's like almost no, and that's like that was like not how it was my freshman year. I don't know how it will be this year depending on schedule.
But the fall season's shorter, so it'll just last like 5 weeks or so.
Yeah, it's a lot
And
shorter.
then we have a little bit of time off, and then just
Spring
like some
season.
practices
So it's
and
just
workouts,
definitely a
and then
different
spring season.
It's definitely a different schedule though. Like you just have to be like kind of ready to go once the fall starts, because then you're just hitting the ground running, but it'll be really quick.
Yeah.
And then spring is
It's
just
very
kind
different.
of a lot more of like marathon golf, like kind of spread
Yes.
apart.
Right.
100%.
Interesting. Okay. So now, Reese, having completed a year, I think I've asked Bella this before on different occasions, but having completed a year, your freshman year, you've kind of figured out maybe the balancing the school and the social life and the golf.
Yeah.
Is there, let's say there's a high school player tuning in right now or listening to you, do you have any advice for them if they're maybe this fall is going to be their freshman year? What would you tell them?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I feel like, I'd say one is just like work hard, like two, just like know that you just have to like experience it to like really fully know. I feel like I like was pretty prepared actually, like mentally and even like physically and everything, but just actually like being in it is just like a whole nother thing, and like you just learn so much. So I'd say just like enjoy it where you can, like learn things and like pick up what to learn as you go, and then go into it humble. I would say that
go
actually.
into it humble.
Yeah, because we even talked about that like before, like this past year, is Bella was like, like it's pretty different where like in high school you're kind of like, I've actually even talked about this with like friends now who are about to go to college, is in high school like you're kind of like the best on that team and like you're really good in high school and like play some tournaments and like get a taste of how good players are. But then you go to college and like everyone's that good. Like you're not the best.
Right.
So just like going into it humble and like, hey, like I'm just gonna work hard and do my best, and just like a different mindset. It's a lot more. You could be more aggressive almost.
It can depend on like how you want to take it. Like some people take it and they're like kind of like freaking out. They're like, I wanted to be the best.
Yes.
But I've always like taken it and been like,
or you
know
take
what,
it and run with it and just get better.
And I kind of like I kind of have always taken it as a positive. Like I guess this frees me up. Like, the odds of me winning aren't as likely. So let's just like give it all we have and like have fun. And also knowing like, if you are losing, like these are some of the best in the world, and that's just how it's gonna be. And it's just everyone's just it's just a fight every day.
100%.
But every tournament. But
and it's so cool to play with those players too.
Exactly.
And then get
Makes
that
it better.
experience. Yeah, it makes you so much better for sure.
But it's just definitely a different mindset to
Really
your
good
point.
experience, but different mindset. So I'd say just like enjoy it, work hard, and stay humble.
Stay humble. I like that. I mean, it is in a sense though.
Yeah.
For a lot of these players, it's a big difference from, kind of being in that number 1 or that number A group in high school, and you get to play with the few of the really top of the line players. All of a sudden, you go to Division I golf here in the Big Ten Conference, and all kinds of talent that you guys are playing with every single week. And so it also probably puts a little more stress too on trying to get the mental part down as well, because you kind of know at this level, okay, everybody's talented. Everybody can go out and make birdies. Everybody can go has the game to go shoot a 67 out here or something like that. But then it's okay.
very
How do you
different
handle the
mentally.
mental part of it?
Yeah.
And that's the next challenge at that level, I imagine, for you guys, kind of both to handle. And obviously you have the experience now of 3 years doing that, and Reese is taking notes.
Yeah, I was actually been thinking about this because I feel like Bella like really handles like the pressure rounds well. Like I've like had a good round before, and then like you can feel the pressure. But I feel like Bella, like you handle that really well. I actually like I'm curious. How do
That's
you
so
like
nice.
handle it well, or like what are your thoughts? Like if you have like a really good round day one, let's say even like in college, and like you shoot like like 65, 66 or whatever, and then you're going into day two. What's your mindset?
Yeah.
Sorry,
That's like
No,
so
this is
swapping,
great. That's a great
but
question.
I'm actually wondering.
That's like so nice. I
because
feel
I actually
like
want to know.
I feel like okay, like I don't know. I just feel like I'm used to being in like pressure situations, and I try to like normalize it as much as possible, and like being like, you know what,
Just like being in it so much, like
Yes.
almost like
Yes.
trains you to still do
yes,
good.
like I like one thing I almost always say to myself is I've probably been in a more pressure filled situation. Like I'm like teeing off in the US, like I played in the US Open 4 years ago, and every time I've like played in a really like pressure filled event, like moment since, I'm always like, it's not as bad as that first tee shot. Like it's not as bad as that first tee shot, like no matter what. And so like always just being like and also being like, you've got nothing to lose. Like at the end of the day, like I literally will say that to myself, like on the golf course. I talk to myself a lot on the golf course, especially in like some of those like moments. But being like,
Both of you?
okay,
having just full conversation. Yeah.
yeah, like just to like keep yourself calm. But I'll just literally be like,
It
you know,
helps.
at the end of the day, like let's say I did lose. Let's say I literally went double. Okay, life goes on, and
Yeah.
like you're moving on, and there's gonna be another event. And so being like, okay, the only way I'm gonna be upset with myself is if I freak out and I like don't just like put it past me and try my best. Like if I'm trying my best and I know I'm giving it my all, I'm never gonna be upset with myself, no matter how it ends. Like obviously we're competitive, but like you're putting your all out there. If I'm practicing hard, trying my best, like what else can I do? And so then I'm just like, so then I'm playing from this like this spot of, instead of being like freaking out, I'm playing from this spot of like, okay, all I have to do is try my best. I already did the practice.
Yeah.
That's already done. Like let's just go and
For
try. And all you have is like you have a shot. You've got like you got a good
mindset
shot,
is
and like
switch, yeah.
so. But it's just like that mentality and like frees you up. And then that's like when I played my best of being like, and then I also try to just keep my mind on different things. Like I'll be like, so I like play from that mentality when I think about it, but then I try to be like, all right, like, you know, what are we gonna get shopping? Like I'll just be like, I'll be like, all right, like what's a cute outfit? Like I'll just chat with like my competitors. So like trying to like keep my mind on different things too. But that's like when I really think about it and like I'm in a moment, that's like my mentality of being like, okay, like.
It's kind of like selective. I don't want to say selective, but you're kind of picking the spots to lock in a sense.
Yes.
100%.
Because in between shots, like you said, you're
Yes.
trying to think
A
about
lot of
something
time.
else, get my mind off of it, and that way it's not totally stressing your mind the whole time.
Yes. Yes.
And when it's time to lock in and hit and focus on the shot, okay, you can do that, and you're not worrying too much about the added stress of, what the moment means or what this particular shot or this particular hole means
100%.
for the event.
I mean, literally one thing I've always thought about is I'm like, it's really like 90% of it is really just like the practice that goes into it beforehand. And if you're
100%.
practicing beforehand as much as you possibly can, like when you're in that moment, like you've done everything you can do. You really have. Like when you're at a tournament, like you're like it's really like almost like the tip of the iceberg. Like you're just seeing like the that one day of how you're playing, when really 90% of it is just like everything you've been doing for the last like months leading up to it. And so it's like if you put in all that work, you're gonna be just fine. Like it just depends on how this day plays out. And so like that just totally frees you up to be like, I did all that work, that 90% of the work, let's just see what today brings.
That sounds like someone who, has it mentally locked in when it's time to hit the big shot or whatever,
True.
It's definitely different, and
advice.
everyone's different. Like, I know some people who like, want that pressure, and like sometimes it is fun. I do enjoy it, but I almost have to just like take myself out of
come
it
in
and
and
let
out,
myself
yeah.
go of it. And then that's
100%.
like how I normally end up playing my best or like can finish strong. But everyone's a little bit different. I've heard different ways. So, but that's just what's worked for me.
Yeah, I mean, this is an age too, as we talk about, the players that might be trying to go to college golf, or there are I've been that player where you're on the bridge of trying to play college golf, and then it's either qualifying with that or playing in your first college event or things like that, where it can kind of be like, oh my, I've made it to this point now. This is the next stage. This is the big time, and adjusting to that. And it sounds like kind of, as you said, you're just think back to the practice and how many times you've hit this shot.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm
100%.
sure every shot on the course, you guys have done enough practice where you've any approach shot, any chip shot, any tee shot, you got the shot you're trying to hit, you've probably hit it thousands upon thousands of times.
100%.
Yeah.
So just trying to revert
Just
back
like
to
increases the confidence. Like, oh, I've done this before.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, well, it's been great to chat with you both, and we have obviously a couple. We mentioned the competitions this summer. We'll be following Reese at the match play here soon, and it'll be we'll connect with you guys here soon. We got some content we're filming as well throughout the summer.
Yep.
We
Stay
appreciate
tuned.
you guys joining. Yeah,
Yes,
Bella and Reese
thank you so
McCauley
much
joining the
for
show.
having
It's
us.
always great to have you guys.
Thank you so much.
So that was Bella and Reese McCauley. I will say we'll start right off with it here. You know, Reese mentioned briefly that she had the Minnesota women's match play tournament coming up, and she just went out and won it. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, she went out and won the Minnesota women's match play since we recorded that. So that was really cool, and of course, that's a pretty significant win for her in her young amateur career.
Yeah, she said she really likes match play, and clearly that showed going out and winning that, because match play, anything can happen. You could shoot a better overall score and still lose
Right.
in match play. So pretty impressive there, and yeah, both of them are going to be gearing up now here for the the U.S. Amateur. They'll have qualifying coming up, so hopefully both can punch their ticket there, and we'll follow them along. We always enjoy hearing from them. The amount of practice they put in is.
It almost sounds like fake when they say the number of hours. Like it's like how, I mean, I get it in the sense that growing up, obviously you have the time when you're not an adult with a full-time job or anything like that, but that they're able to put in that much time and they don't get like tired of it or sick of it is kind of crazy.
Yeah, like here I am like trying to maybe I get 30 minutes to an hour a week of practice, right?
Yeah, right.
And then it's usually playing once or twice, hopefully on a good week.
Yeah.
They're doing, what was it, 4 to 6 hours, 6 weeks a day.
Yep.
Like that's basically a round of 18 plus
some practice time.
So pretty
More or less
impressive.
every day.
And that goes to show you what separates the really, really, really good players from, the everyday golfer, is just the dedication they have to their craft.
Yep. That's what it takes to be that level, of golfer where you're getting invited to Augusta National. You're winning Minnesota match play. That's the type of competition, and that's the type of dedication and skill that you need. So, it's awesome to talk to them, and we got some more content with them coming as well.
I know we got some more content coming up on YouTube with them here, later this summer. But what else we got on deck here for the next week or so?
Yeah, we've got. I'm not going to talk too much about this because I can't, but there's some exciting launches coming up, some new products that are going to hit the market. So stay tuned for those. Some really exciting ones there. We've got our series of Live at Lunch is continuing this week. I will be out of town, but we have Mizuno irons. So Koss is going to join us. He plays Mizuno irons. He's played several models in the past, so he's going to join. We're going to talk about some older models of Mizuno irons and then compare them to some new ones. Fitter's Choice, I believe, is all wrapped up now. We've got all of our, if you haven't seen them yet, go check them out on the YouTube channel. Our fitters basically voted on all these various categories for the best clubs of 2025. And then we highlighted them and tested them on TrackMan. So really good stuff there. Otherwise, a lot more stuff from the tour trucks coming as well. We have a Gary Woodland 3-wood build later this week on Friday. So he's got a wild setup in his 3-wood shaft in particular.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah, on the second swing side, we still have our best value clubs. Speaking of best value clubs, Keegan Bradley just played a pair of them in his win. The Strixon Mark II, ZX5, ZX7. If you need the game improvement, the ZX4. Fantastic clubs. Obviously, come in for a fitting, make sure those are the fit for you, and then let our fitters kind of, set you up into the right shaft and, the right lofts and lie angles for you. But great stuff there, so make sure you check those out. And then this is, it's a second swing thing, but Drew here, he's being too humble and not wanting to brag about it, but he is qualified for the state amateur after, making the cut on the number yesterday. So congrats, Drew.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so the state am is July 21 through 23 at the Classic at Madden's up north here, which is supposedly an awesome golf course. I have not played it yet, so I'm looking forward to that experience. But it was a grind yesterday, and I almost Fleetwooded at the end there and choked her away. But we stayed above ground just barely.
We like to call that Vandeveld, not Fleetwood.
Vandeveld, yeah.
But if you need a caddy, I might know a guy. So
okay, good to know. Good to know.
That wraps up this episode of the Second Swing Thoughts podcast. As Drew always says, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Follow us on YouTube, your favorite podcast platform, and obviously comment any questions you have for us. We'd love to help answer them. And we'll see you back here next week.